Roswell, New Mexico, Area 51, two of the most infamous locations of all time when it comes to UFOs and alien encounters in the heart of North America. But what if I told you there was a third place, a location where a group of hardened soldiers encountered something so terrifying they were sworn to secrecy? And it's right here, nestled in the quiet English countryside. Welcome to another episode of The Blair Itch. Welcome to The Blair Itch, the show that scratches that spooky stories and true crime itch that's been keeping you awake at night. Today, we're visiting the greatest country on earth, England, for a story so mind-bending it'll challenge everything you think you know about the known universe and the way it works. So grab your favourite blanket, strap on your tinfoil hat. This is the story of the Rendlesham Forest Incident. Rendlesham Forest is home to towering pines, peaceful woodland, and a natural calm. But one December night in 1980, this serene forest became the epicenter of one of the most controversial and well-documented UFO encounters in British history. Known as the British Roswell, the Rendlesham Forest Incident has fueled rumours, controversies and theories for decades as one of the strangest nights in military history. To understand the context, we must step back into the world of 1980, a time of intense global tension. The Cold War raged on, with the US and Soviet Union on constant high alert. Rendlesham Forest lay sandwiched between two American bases, RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge. With nuclear weapons stationed at these bases, the personnel were trained and prepared for every imaginable threat, or so they thought. In the early hours of December 26th, Airman First Class John Burrows and Staff Sergeant Jim Peniston were dispatched into Rendlesham Forest following reports of strange lights descending into the woods. This sparked concerns of a possible downed aircraft, and so the two men hurried to the scene. But what they saw defied belief. According to their accounts, as they came into a clearing in the woods, Burrows and Peniston came face to face with an inexplicable craft, triangular, metallic, and completely silent. Nearby farm animals went into a frenzy as the strange craft hovered just yards in front of the two men. According to Peniston, he saw strange symbols on its body, triangular landing gear, and perhaps strangest of all, some unseen force compelled him to reach out and touch it. As Peniston lay his hand on the craft, he felt a telepathic jolt. A surge of information rushed through his brain, a download, as he described it, of binary code sequences. Peniston removed his hand from the craft, and like a bolt of lightning, it shot into the trees and disappeared into the night. Shortly after 4 a.m., local police were called to the scene, but reported the only lights they could see were those from Orford Nest Lighthouse, which was some distance away on the coast. As dawn broke on the morning of the 26th of December, servicemen returned to the forest to get a better look at the area where the craft had been reported. They found 3 small impressions in the dirt in a triangular pattern, as well as broken branches and scorch marks on surrounding trees. The local police were called back to the scene to corroborate their findings, but they remained skeptical and thought the impressions could have been caused by an animal of some description, probably rabbits. Meanwhile, Peniston was still in shock from his encounter and could think of little else but the strange, telepathic binary code imparted on him after touching the craft. Over the course of hours, Peniston wrote down these seemingly nonsensical ones and zeros, but when decoded, the message contained coordinates that pointed to ancient sites around the world, including locations like the pyramids of Giza and the Nazca lines in Peru. So Peniston's binary code was later deciphered and translated by experts, and what it said was the following: exploration of humanity, continuous for planetary advance, eyes of your eyes, origin year 8100. Now, many people think of aliens whenever you mention the terms UFO or UAP, when really all these terms refer to is an unidentified flying craft of some description. But the phrase origin year 8100 is kind of interesting. Could it be that we're not actually dealing with aliens here? Could it be time travelers instead? Things were starting to get really quite weird for the people stationed near Rendlesham Forest, and it was only just beginning. 2 nights later, on December 28th, sightings continued and more strange lights in the forest were reported. This time, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, Deputy Base Commander, decided to take matters into his own hands. Armed with a handheld tape recorder and a radiation detector, Holt and a small team ventured into the forest to investigate.
150 feet or more from the initial, I should say, suspected impact point. Having a lift going, we can't get the light all to work. Seems to be some kind of mechanical problem. This is after the number 1 indentation where we first got the strongest reading.
This looks like an area here, possibly. It could be a blast up to what, 7?
What?
Just jumped up to 7/10 there.
7/10 right here in the center? We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scrubbed up area here. We get very positive readings.
As Holt and his men advanced, they observed strange, glowing lights moving through the trees.
You just saw a light where? Where?
Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again. Watch, straight ahead off my flashlight there. So there it is.
Hey, I see it too. What is it?
We don't know, sir.
So can I get some? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light. Looks to be out maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. I'm going to switch off. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. Is it back again?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's the flashlight set. Let's move out to the edge of the clearing so we can get a better look at it. See if you can get the star scope on it. The light's still there, and all the barnyard animals have gotten quiet now. Yeah, we're heading about 110 to 120 degrees from the site. I'm through to the clearing now. Still getting readings.
The situation quickly escalated as they witnessed beams of light shining from above, piercing through the forest canopy. They then reported they observed a light that looked like a large eye, red in color, moving through the trees. After a few minutes, this object began dripping something that looked like molten metal. A short while later, it broke into several smaller, white-colored objects which flew away in all directions. Another visible flashing light was seen moving across a field to the east, and star-like lights which hovered and twinkled were seen in the sky to the north and south. There are claims the incident was videoed by the US Air Force, but if so, the resulting tapes have never been made public. Now, 2 weeks later, Holt sends his memo off to the Ministry of Defence, and so far, everything is quiet, everything is kept under wraps, the public are none the wiser. However, Vincent Furkettle, amazing name by the way, who was a forestry worker at the time, now he claims he was accosted by two gentlemen in black suits who asked him a barrage of questions about the night's events. Questions like, did you see anything last night? Did you leave the house at all? Now, when Vincent was like, what are you even talking about? They were just like, oh, there were some lights reported in the forest, I'm sure it's nothing. Anyway, goodbye, have a good day. And they left. And Vincent was left with the feeling that they must be journalists or something, because why else would they be out here asking all these probing questions? So naturally, Vincent bought the newspaper for the next few weeks, hoping to read what all the fuss was about, what was their story about. But of course, nothing appeared in the newspapers, and he didn't really hear anything again. It would actually take a further 3 years before the American government released the memo to the general public, and once they did, it hit news headlines all across the world. Rumours of the incident spread rapidly, raising questions that reached the Ministry of Defence. Was Britain's defence compromised? Could this be a threat from the Soviets or even an extraterrestrial intelligence? Officially, the Ministry of Defence concluded the incident posed no defence significance, but skeptics claim the incident was buried, possibly as part of a larger effort to conceal UFO activity from the public. Was it a cover-up? Now, of course, accounts of this nature are really hard to believe, and it's hard for the human brain to even comprehend such crazy goings-on in a world we think we know basically everything about, right? It challenges our perception of everything. So naturally, people search for logical and reasonable explanations for the various phenomena, and these were also pushed by people higher up in government. Not everyone believes the Rendlesham Forest Incident was extraterrestrial. Some point to the Orford Nest lighthouse, which flashes every 5 seconds, as the potential source of the mysterious light. At that time, the Orford Nest lighthouse was the second brightest in Britain, with the intensity of 5 million candles. In another coincidence, a meteor almost as bright as the full moon was spotted over southern England at exactly the same time of the initial reports of a bright object landing in the forest, according to the British Astronomical Association. Given the angles, it's possible the lighthouse's beam was mistaken for something otherworldly. Our minds can play tricks on us, especially in tense situations. Others suggest it may have been a military experiment, perhaps a test of new technology, or even a psychological operation designed to observe how soldiers would react. Despite countless interviews, investigations and freedom of access requests, the Rendlesham Forest Incident remains shrouded in mystery. It continues to inspire books, movies and documentaries, drawing people from around the world to the forest, hoping to experience the unexplained for themselves. So what did happen that night? Well, I don't think they saw the lighthouse. For one, it's nearly 6 miles away, and any light that did appear, it would be a tiny little white dot on the horizon. We know the lighthouse would flash every 5 seconds, so that will make its appearance like really uniform, whereas the people on duty that night, they report multicolored lights flying up in the air and through the trees. And as we all know, lighthouses, they don't do that. So I think it's impossible. And the guys have been stationed there for years at this point. They would know what the lighthouse light looks like on the horizon. So I don't think it was that. I believe Quest TV actually went and debunked this theory completely by testing it. They actually turned the lighthouse on and went and stood in the forest where these things were reported, and they couldn't even see the lighthouse light at all. It definitely wasn't the lighthouse. Now, my favorite theory, and if it's not aliens or time travelers, I really hope this is true, is that the British SAS played a prank on the US Air Force. So the story goes, the British SAS, they actually parachuted into Rendlesham Forest to test the US Air Force base defenses. They were captured, they were beaten up, and then they were called unidentified aliens because the US Air Force couldn't figure out who the they were, basically. The SAS took this personal, and they were like, okay, we're going to give the US Air Force their very own alien encounter. So as it approached Christmas 1980, the SAS, they actually went out into the woods and they rigged up like coloured flares and lights, even remote-controlled kites that could lift objects into the air. That is the theory, that they played this massive prank on the US Air Force, and I just think it's hilarious. Just imagining these few random SAS dudes in all black hiding in the bushes with their little remote controls, giggling like school children, while this US colonel has a whole platoon out in the woods absolutely bricks. It's genius, it's brilliant, I hope it is that. But whatever it was that night, it has ingrained itself into myth and legend, and it's probably one of the most fascinating and compelling accounts of the paranormal in modern history. The Rendlesham Forest Incident has become a cultural touchstone, emblematic of our fascination with the unknown and the possibility that we may not be alone. Today, the UK Forestry Commission has converted the area into something known as the UFO Trail, which comes complete with a life-size replica of a flying saucer. But the questions still remain. Was it a visitation from another world, a covert military experiment, or merely a case of Cold War-era paranoia? The truth may forever remain hidden among the trees of Rendlesham, leaving us to ponder. What really happened in December 1980? In the end, Rendlesham is not just a mystery about what happened that night. It's a mystery about our own limits of understanding and our ceaseless search for answers in the unknown. And that brings us nicely to the end of the episode, guys. Thank you once more for watching. Do you think it was aliens, time travelers, or something a bit more rooted in reality maybe? Or at least the reality we understand? Have you ever seen lights in the sky? I know I haven't really seen anything myself. I would love to have an extraterrestrial experience of some kind. You know, as long as they don't probe my anus or anything like that, I think it would be life-changing. And I personally, I do believe there is stuff out there we just simply don't understand. I think the universe is crazy. It'd be very naive and ignorant to think that we know all there is to know about the universe. But let me know what you guys think. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell for more notifications and more episodes from the Blair Itch. And until next time, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Peace.